Meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Roswell. This will be our last meeting this year, and we've got lots of guests here, including the Chipper. I would like to invite Sue Creel to come out of the box and lead us in the pledge as her last official event. Sue is going on to greener pastures after tonight, but she is going to finish out the year for us. She is. And this is her last council meeting, and she's been at every council meeting since I've been there, I think. Probably made more meetings than I did. Sue Creel. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sue, before you go any of the council members have any parting words of wisdom for Sue Creel?
It's okay, you don't have to say anything.
Becky Wynn.
We'll miss you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, Nancy Diamond.
Sue was one of my first friends on this job, and I really just appreciate everything you've done, and I hope I can still call you, because there's still stuff you can remind us of that I'm a little afraid we're not going to know what to do.
Thank you.
Best of everything. I'm thrilled for this for you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Rich DiPolito.
Sue, thank you for all you do. You've kept us so organized, because you are so organized yourself. And I don't know what we're going to do without you, but hopefully we can find a replacement that does half as good a job as you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ken Eigelhart.
Sue has shown how smart she is by taking the chance to not have to come to these meetings anymore. As several others. But thank you for all the help you've given to me specifically, as well as all the things throughout the city. And I've really appreciated everything that you've done, and we will miss you.
Thanks, Ken.
Councilman Price. Councilmember Price.
Well, Sue was great just a little over a year ago when I came in to file to run, and she was nothing but professional. I just have to say that was the word to describe you best, that you never gave any indication whether you thought we were nuts or that our opponent was or wasn't worthy or anything. She was just 100% professional. So enjoy this time for you that is now going to be 100% personal, and the best wishes to you.
Thank you.
Councilman Orleans.
So we've already said it before, but thank you very much for all you've done. You've really turned this job into what it should be. We've had some ups and downs before you got here. So you've done a great job for us and for the city, and we're really going to miss you, but good luck with what you're going to do. Thank you.
Good luck. Let's have one more hand. Thank you, Sue.
Taking on from Rich Carter, it's been my pleasure to serve you.
Thank you for all your help. Do we have, we're removing item 5, the phase 2 of the tower lease for fiber optics on the high tower water tower tank from the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with that omission? Item 6 is coming off. Item 5. Item 5 is coming off. Motion for approval by Councilmember Diamond. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Wynn. Does anyone in the audience have any questions on the consent agenda?
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes, sir, Councilman Orleans.
The reason I asked because I was also looking at item 4 to pull off of the consent agenda, too.
All right, we will remove item 4 from the consent agenda. So we're not, are you asking for that to be deferred or just to be discussed separately?
Just to be discussed separately.
All right, we'll discuss that later. All right, with the exception of 4 and 5, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. We'll now address item 4 on the consent agenda. Ms. Love, are you prepared to make a presentation on that?
On item 4?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Well, I mean, I can ask my question. If you want to make a presentation, go right ahead.
No, sir, I would not like to make a presentation. I'm happy to answer a question.
Quickly trying to find my notes here. If I remember correctly, the addition that we're getting for, this is the one that has, I think, 3 locations going to 9 locations?
6 to 9.
6 to 9, right. And I think for the additional 3, we were getting $225 a month for it.
$2,700 annually, Mr. Halsey. 200 more. Yeah, 200.
200 more a month.
Yes.
And from my experience on cell towers and what we've done in the past, that seemed like a very small amount for adding 3 locations to the tower. So I guess I was looking for some background and information from the legal department on that and our history on it.
Actually, it's $225 a month, sorry.
That's what I said first, yeah.
Sorry.
Mr. Davidson has that information. I don't have any information to give you on that one tonight. Sorry.
Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't.
Do you want to
compete for
defer
me.
this until we have more information?
I would like to defer it.
We have a motion to defer the vote on the City of Roswell new singular wireless PCS. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Passes unanimously. We'll put that on the next regular council meeting. And which brings you to the mayor's report. It is my pleasure to introduce the chipper. And if the chipper would come forward, I have a proclamation to read before we recognize the chipper. And it's this time every year which the chipper comes to Roswell. And whereas recycling reduces the waste stream, saving tax dollars and improving our environment. And whereas Roswell is committed to reducing the waste stream and encouraging citizens to reduce the amount of yard waste materials placed on the curb. And whereas the Keep Roswell Beautiful program, the Kiwanis Club of Historic Roswell, the Keep Georgia Beautiful program, which is part of the Department of Community Affairs, Davy Tree Expert Company, Home Depot, and WXIA Television are sponsoring Bring One for the Chipper Christmas Tree Recycling Program. And whereas this program promotes recycling of Christmas trees into usable mulch materials and provides Roswell residents easy access to drop-off sites and free mulch. And whereas Roswell residents who drop off trees may receive seed packets from the Fairy Moss Seed Company. And what kind of seeds are those?
Plants.
Plant seeds.
Flowers and vegetables.
Flowers and vegetables. And whereas last year over 8,000 trees were recycled through this program in the city of Roswell, now therefore I, Jerry Wood, mayor of the city of Roswell, proclaim Saturday, January 8th, 2011, as Bring One for the Chipper Day in Roswell, and invite all of our residents to bring their old Christmas trees to the chipper. And with that, I want to recognize the Keep Roswell Beautiful representatives here tonight to tell us more about where they can bring their Christmas trees to be chipped by the chipper.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, once again, we're partnering with the Home Depot locations, the one on Woodstock Road and the one on Holcomb Bridge Road. In addition to taking trees this year, we're also accepting strings of Christmas lights that residents may not want any longer. We have found a company that will recycle them so people can bring their lights. We'll have a box, we'll put them all in, and then on Monday the 10th, we'll be shipping those off to holidayled.com, which will recycle them. And we'd like to ask if Mayor and Council would like their picture taken with Chipper.
Absolutely. Let's join the chipper. I like to get that from the chipper. The chipper here, she makes me look thin.
We can do right here.
Stand next to the mayor.
Chipper's ears. Thank you, Chipper. Oh, wait, more photographs. Thank you, Chipper. Keep those seeds sharp.
Lights, yes. I can't.
Kay has reminded me that we need a motion to defer item 5 to the next council meeting. That's the Tower Cloud lease. Do we have a motion? Motion to defer by Councilman Orland, second by Councilman Dippolito. All in favor, raise your hands. Passes unanimously. Moving right along. At this time, we will hear from Administration and Finance Department, Councilman Jerry Orleans. He tells me there's a football game tonight and not ask any questions. So moving right along. 8:30.
No, I just suggested we all prepare a little better tonight so we wouldn't have to ask as many questions as all. Michael's here tonight to, we have an appointment of Krista Young as our new city solicitor. So tonight will be her official acceptance if the council approves, and she will start working with us immediately, if not earlier this morning.
Yes, sir, that's correct. You, as the mayor and council, have the opportunity, based on the code of ordinance for the city of Roswell, to appoint our solicitor to a 2-year term. Krista will be here at one of the 2 January meetings, whatever we can work out with her and some of her family members for her ceremonial swearing in. She has officially taken that act already, but there will be a time when we can do that, in a public meeting with her family. So she will be here at that time to be presented to you if, in fact, you do decide to appoint this evening. Just to give you a little recap, there was 29 applications that we had received.
Mike Fisher, we got a football game. We've already covered this. Do we have a motion?
And if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer.
Councilman Orland?
I move for
motion for approval by Councilman Orland. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Wynn. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously.
Boy, we can get the mayor motivated, can't we? Next item on the agenda is approval of purchase for the Enterprise Resource Planning Infrastructure hardware. And Mr. Fisher will explain what this really means in relation to the ERP. It's not exactly the ERP contract, but it's something we need.
We need $436,000.
Does the council have any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move for approval of the contract to approve the purchase of the infrastructure hardware.
Motion by Councilmember Orleans for approval, second by Councilmember Wynn. Is there any audiences, any questions or comments from the floor? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
That's all we have for administration tonight.
Next, we'll hear from the Environmental Public Works Department Liaison, Councilmember Becky Wynn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Moran, did you see how that went? Okay. Approval of a resolution to establish billing rates associated with the Stormwater Utility Program and approval of the Stormwater Utility Credit Manual. Mr. Moran.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. This is the final step in the approval that Mayor and Council provided in 2008, implementing the fee structure, the credit manual, and along with it there is a companion resolution that will reduce sanitation rates for both residential and non-residential customers. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Mr. Mooring, as I understand it, for most customers, the imposition of the stormwater utility will be offset by a reduction in the solid waste pickup, so most folks will not see a net increase in their cost. Is that the way it generally works?
For residential customers, that is correct, Mr. Mayor. Approximately, as you can see from the chart,
but it's not very big.
The first 2 tiers of the residential properties will either break even or will actually have more money returned to them from the reduction in fees. So approximately 64% of residential properties will have a reduced bill or a net zero change.
Now, do you want to briefly explain how the city will calculate the impervious surface of a residential property?
Yes, sir. That is done using the GIS, the Geographic Information System mapping from aerial photographs. and they make a determination. For residential properties, they will be grouped according to tiers, and in a given subdivision unit, they will assess basically the average. For larger residential properties and for all non-residential properties, they will do an individual assessment. That is a delineation of the impervious area on that property and calculate it accordingly. You pay $395, one ERU per 4,100 square feet of impervious.
Is there a procedure to notify people that this is what we've calculated and a procedure for appeal if they think it's been over-calculated?
Yes, there is a procedure for appeal, and that will be delineated when we actually prepare bills and they go out. People that have appeals or that feel that they have undertaken activities to mitigate their impact on stormwater, they also will have an opportunity for credits against the total fee.
Does the council have any other questions? Do we have? Yes, Councilman Eichelhardt.
Just want to clarify so that everyone is clear that this same utility fee will be paid for out of the sanitation bill that they currently receive, or the overall bill that they receive.
Correct.
So that most people it's going to be the same amount or less, because I had asked that question earlier today. That most people will not see any change at all. Some may even see a reduction. Because I think it's critical, even though we're in a short time here, this is a major change to what we're doing, and people could see this as being a new fee. And technically it is, but it's also specifically being taken care of by reducing another charge.
Yes, sir.
But so for most people, they'll actually see no difference.
Correct. This is a dummy bill that was created just for test purposes, but the stormwater charge will be shown as highlighted, will be another line item on the regular utility bill.
Any other questions? Does the council have any other questions? Councilmember DiPolito.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Moore, for non-residential properties, there's a credit of $11.85, but is that only in the cases where someone also uses the city of Roswell for sanitation purposes, for trash collection? What happens if they use another carrier?
Then there would not be a credit for them.
Okay. And do we know, are there a large number of non-residential properties that don't use Roswell?
There are not a lot. I don't know the exact figure, but it's in the realm of maybe 100 or so.
My understanding is that the city of Roswell rates are very competitive, so I would assume most of our properties do use, the majority use.
Well, yes, sir. If properties use dumpster service, then they are required to use the city of Roswell service. They only can use an alternate service if they have like a compactor unit or some other facility that we don't have facilities to service.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Wynn.
Okay, Mr. Moran, again, I think we need to stress that this is a basic bill before any credits, because
Yes,
we do
ma'am.
have credits that residential and non-residential can take to help alleviate the billing on that one. So there are going to be, I think, very good credits, and I want to thank Councilman Eichelhardt for helping us arrange that one, and that this will start sometime July 1,
2011.
or
I
after,
apologize.
as soon as we get the billing.
Yes.
I just want to make that perfectly clear that we do have some credits that residents and non-residential can use.
Any other questions? Councilmember Price.
On the second page of the resolution indicates that the program will generate about $2.8 million, but the reduction in the solid waste fund is approximately $1.29. So really, to make this work, there has to be a generation of funds more than is offset by the reduction in the solid waste fund.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, substantially more. So, but yet we say that most people will see a reduction in their bill?
Most residential properties.
Our city administrator has a comment.
Councilmember Price, part of that difference is made up in what the city currently funds now for the stormwater program that we have out of the general fund would now be paid for by that rate. So, and the city would be paying for our stormwater utility payment. Mr. Mooring, that's about $600 and some odd thousand
Yes, ma'am.
per year that the city would be paying for that.
Go ahead. Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Wynn. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Diamond. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. That's 5 in favor. Councilmember Price, are you opposed?
I am.
Councilmember Price is voting in opposition. In favor of Councilmember Orleans, Councilmember Eichelhart, Councilmember Wynn, Councilmember DePolito, and Councilmember Diamond. The next, I believe, is a companion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, it is. Approval of a resolution to reduce residential and non-residential sanitation fees effective July 1, 2011. Mr. Mooring.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This is a resolution that will reduce sanitation fees by the equivalent of 1 ERU or $3.95 per month for residential properties and 3 ERU or $11.85 for non-residential properties. And this is intended as something of an offset, but obviously for commercial properties doesn't totally cover the additional charge. And this will also take effect July 1, 2011.
Does the council member have any council member have any questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilmember Wynn for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Eichelhart. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor, raise their hands. That's unanimous in favor.
Okay, the last one on Environmental and Public Works is approval to amend Article 24.5 Water and Sewer of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Roswell. This will be the first reading, and Mr. Halsey, do you need to read it before we discuss?
Well, you will discuss now.
Okay, sorry. Mr. Mooring.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We are a part of the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District, and under the conservation requirements they have developed for water systems, there are several changes that are required to be made. They are described more fully, but I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But to maintain currency with our EPD permit, we need to adopt these regulations or similar.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
No, we need a reading.
Need a
Do you
reading.
read?
An ordinance amending Article 24.5 Water and Sewer to add state-mandated water restriction provisions and provisions related to private decentralized wastewater systems. Purpose and intent: the purpose of this section is to reduce water consumption from commercial car wash facilities by requiring all new conveyor car washes to install operational and recycled water systems. The remainder of the ordinance is incorporated herein.
Do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
Motion to approve the first reading.
Motion for approval by Councilmember Wynn. Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Orleans. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? Councilmember Price.
I just had a concern about the section on enforcement, and I'm not sure how it compares to what was previously there, but is this construed as a revenue generator?
No, ma'am, that's not the intent. No, this is just to develop conservation practices throughout the community, and our hope is that we never have to do any enforcement.
And how would Public Works, Environmental be the enforcement authority?
We have an environmental enforcement officer. He is state certified as a code enforcement person. In addition, of course, in extreme cases, we can call on the resources of the police department.
And could anybody clarify the authorizing of other departments as deemed necessary to support enforcement? Does that mean code enforcement in general, or does that mean law enforcement, or?
It means law enforcement, if necessary. This follows what is currently used with residential and commercial cutoffs for water.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion for approval by Councilmember Nguyen. Is there a second? We already did. We already motioned a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. This time I'll call upon Councilmember Nancy Diamond, Liaison to Public Safety Department.
If I could add one thing, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
There's actually 2 football games tonight, and Tech is leading 7-6.
All right. Good to know that.
How did you know that?
Yes, sir. This is for approval for the mayor and/or city administrator to sign a contract with Correct Health Roswell LLC for inmate medical services for the Roswell Detention Center in the amount of $142,698.20. Chief Williams, if you could tell us about it.
Thank you. This would be the if approved, be a continuation of a contract with the current healthcare provider in the detention center. We just needed to have it renewed and have the contract updated to cover the services that we are currently getting from our provider, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Does the council have any questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion for approval by Councilmember Diamond. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Nguyen. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? Councilmember Orleans.
Chief, are there alternatives to this? Are there other companies that try to do this service? Do we bid it out, or is this like a single source? Or
No, sir. This was a competitive bid process, and it was awarded to this company. And here we're just asking for a continuation of that same contract with the same vendor. They have staff on board. They have equipment in our facility and some equipment we've purchased. So we felt it was advantageous to stay with the same vendor as opposed to putting it back out. And the contract allows for.
Is this the same price as the previous year?
The price has no, sir. The price is up. There is a scale built in on the cost of living index or whatever it is. I know I'm not saying that correctly, but
CPI.
Thank you, the CPI. So consumer price index. So that factor has been brought in also, and the price is higher than it was.
Just by a factor of the consumer price index?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Love.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, when we entered into this contract in 2008, the price was $137,000 plus, with the contractual language that there was an annual inflator based on that CPI. And this is in line with that. The original term was 2 years with options to renew for additional 1-year terms.
Other questions? Do we have a motion?
We have one.
I had a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Passes unanimously.
Now we have approval of the renaming of certain streets with similar or confusing names.
Several months ago, we started this process. We have problems with streets in Roswell that sound exactly the same. In fact, they are the same street names and other confusing names. So we brought this to the attention of mayor and council and then to the public. We held 3 public meetings, gathered input from the public. We had several streets, residents of the streets who wish to be opted out. That has been done. Those people have been notified of that. The list before you, which I can read if you like, but the list before you.
How many streets do we have?
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, looks like 13, sir. If I counted too quickly, I apologize for that. But these are streets where the residents were in favor of the change. Then there are a number of other streets that we feel can be fixed with the purchase of new software for the 911 center. So we hope to hold off until that software is purchased, and that would solve those street name problems. Currently, we can only put 19 characters in a street name. If we are able to go forward with the purchase of new software for the CAD, the computer-aided dispatch program, then we would have some vendors have unlimited and others have about 60, both of which would work for our case. But these are people who wish to go in and have their street name changed.
Any questions? Any other questions? Councilmember Price.
So of these 13, there are no residents on there who have expressed disapproval of doing that?
We have sent, no ma'am, we have sent, these are the ones that first indicated that they wanted it changed, that they were okay with the change proposed. Then after council authorized us to go ahead with this, I sent another letter out saying, letting them know that we're going to be bringing this forward. We did have some input, but so far no negative responses.
So everybody on all these streets is in agreement?
Everyone that we've heard from, I wouldn't go so far as to say everyone, but we have sent letters to each of those addresses. So to the best of our ability to contact each one, we have had no negative responses. We have had input as to what the street name should be or how the street signs should look, and we are following that input to the extent we possibly can.
One other question. I noticed under financial impact it says negligible or not applicable. Is there no cost involved with changing signs?
There would be cost of remaking the signs, but we do those ourselves. So there would be some material cost, and I apologize for that. I should have thought. We discussed this price some time ago. $5 a sign comes to mind. That Mike Elliott was telling us it would cost us about that much in material, and then the soft costs of having our employees. But I don't remember a more perfect number. Sorry.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion for approval by Councilmember Diamond. Do we have a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. Does any? Yes, sir. Come forward, please.
I wanted to know if my street name was on the list.
Yes, sir. Creekwood Crossing East and West.
If you would like to speak, you'll need to come forward, give us your name and address, and we'll be glad to hear from you.
I wanted to personally apologize to this guy for causing him trouble over the weekend.
None whatsoever. Don't worry about it.
I had been wanting to set up our sign thusly, and I called around, and before I know it, I had started a ball rolling that I did not mean to. This sign is made up of our name, which was Creekwood Crossing East, and in place of the East, I apologize for the error. I had to do that freehand, and I'm not very good. But stacking the numbers, 505, 635, that way. The reason for that is because if you take the East and the West off, then you no longer know which way to turn. Now, I understand in the football game and all, but we need this at a crossroad. Otherwise, these guys don't know which way to turn. It's 3 in the morning, somebody got woke up, somebody's in trouble. And the sign that they had put up, which was...
If we might be able to cut this short, if you could,
That's it.
If
That's
you
all I
wait
had.
to hear from Mrs. Love.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After you had suggested that at the committee meeting and transportation had been looking at into that, and we are committed to making that happen in those places where the numbers will help people know which direction to go so they don't have to go all the way around the loop, not only for public safety reasons, but for convenience of citizens and visitors. So that is already in place to happen. So thank you very much for that suggestion.
Well, there you go. And again, I'm sorry, but he was on it real quick when we got this strange sign up there that we couldn't even figure out where we lived anymore. And next diamond also. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
That was some of the suggestions that I mentioned. I thought he might want to speak for himself, but I think that's an excellent idea, and I believe Mr. Elliott is going to start incorporating that as they change signs out anyway, because it is an excellent idea.
Does anyone else in the audience wish to speak? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion by council? All in favor of the motion, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. Chief Williams, I want to thank you for your thoroughness and your putting up with all of the council and all of the citizens and all of the issues. This has been like herding cats to get all these streets together, but I think we've come to a good solution in which no one is unhappy. I'm not going to say everybody's happy, but I've found nobody who's unhappy, and that's a good thing. So thank you for taking the time to put this together, and I think it will. We've made some improvements in our street numbering and our street naming, and you can ride off into the sunset knowing that your successor will not have to face that issue. So thank you.
I was very anxious to get this finished so that would not be dumped on someone else.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
At this time, I'll call upon Councilmember Rich DiPolito, liaison to our Transportation Department.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is for approval for the mayor and/or city administrator to sign a contract with Reynolds Smith and Hillis, Inc. for the Hardscrabble Green Loop Phase 1 design project in the amount of $562,046.83. Mr. Lowe.
Thank you, Councilmember DiPolito. Staff recommends the award of a design contract to Reynolds Smith and Hills, RS&H, for the Hardscrabble Green Loop Phase 1 design project in the amount of $562,046.83.
For the audience, could you put up the scope of this project on the screen?
Yes.
So it would include the intersections marked and the sidewalks along that corridor.
Yes, it's a sidewalk and a multi-use trail along Hardscrabble, and then it's several intersection improvements along Hardscrabble at East and West Chafin and at Wexford, and some improvements to sidewalk on one side of the south leg of East Chafin.
And the funding for this, where's the funding? Where's the money coming from?
We're getting $2.1 million in HPP, high priority project money that's already programmed in the TIP. And then we have $688,614.15 in city funds.
And that's coming from impact fees?
Yes.
All right, does the council have any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion for approval by Councilmember DiPolito. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Wynn. Does anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Any further discussion by council? All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. We'll hear from our city attorney at this time.
Mr. Mayor, city attorney has a recommendation for closure to discuss litigation, personnel, and the acquisition of real estate.
Do we have a motion for closure?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Wynn. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember DiPolito. All in favor, raise their hands. Passes unanimously. Before I close, I'd like to welcome our Boy Scout who has sat through an entire meeting. And normally we would have put you on the spot and called you to lead us in the pledge, but the chipper bumped you tonight. And good to have you here, and wish you success in the Boy Scouts. Councilmember Orleans is an old scout, and I am an Eagle Scout. So it's good to have you here tonight. I hope you continue in the program. We're adjourned.